Hey guys, I have somebody named Wild Earth that's looking to get in. Can they come in?
Kwame, you can let Esperanza in if she's still there.
Wow.
Oh,
All right, she's there. I'm gonna let her in now.
Let's do that. Bye, Kwame. You good? Or do you want me to give this here?
No, let's do it. All right, it is 6:31. We're calling the Public Safety and General Government Committee meeting to order. My name is Benjamin Falk. I'll be acting chair of the evening.
That's good. Can you imagine?
That's great.
Should we make this here from the committee?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just
outside. Okay. New business, item number 1 is the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights.
So we have folks from the Development Commission who are gonna present. So Emily is here, the director, and then you can introduce your guests. Sure, so I'm Flynn, I'm the Director of Health and Wellness at Coordinate the Live Well Kingston. We have some guests here that are proposing this for you today. Do you want to?
Sure, I'll introduce myself. My name is Myra Estes. I work for Land to Learn, which provides garden education programming in Kingston City Schools, and I'm part of the children, or we were calling it COBOR for short, committee policy committee group.
Can I just actually have you sit at the table because it's hard to hear?
Yeah. And you want me to sit here? Yes.
Yeah, and you'll be open to these because that way they can hear us better. Great, hear you better.
And I'll let Jenny introduce. And we do have a short presentation if there's something. Yeah.
My name is Jenny Swans. I am part of the Nature Everywhere Kingston group, which is a partnership between City of Kingston, Kingston School District, and several local nonprofit organizations. And the working group to create this Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights is part of Nature Everywhere Kingston. And then we also have joining us Esperanza.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. I'm Esperanza Gonzalez. I work with Wild Earth and have been one of the primary organizations to support the Nature Everywhere work. And yeah, we have a little presentation. It shouldn't take too long. Is that possible? Is there something that we can put on the screen?
Kwame, can you make Esperanza a co-host, please? I'm assuming Esperanza, this is coming from you. You're
Yeah,
here.
That would be great.
Kwame, are you there?
I am. Just give me a second. I'm gonna do it right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, let's go to the beginning. Hi there. So I'm Esperanza again. I work with Wild Earth, but I'm here today with Mara and Jenny representing Nature Everywhere Kingston. We have a piece of policy that we would love you all to consider today. And so we'll tell you a little bit about Nature Everywhere, dive into that policy, and leave it to you all. So Nature Everywhere Kingston is coalition building work in Kingston, which is a bunch of different organizations coming together to increase equitable access to nature in the city of Kingston. So you can see we have a bunch of organizations doing this work together. There's no central lead. We're all working together. A few years ago, the Children in Nature Network partnered with Kaboom and National Leagues of City to create this program where 100 cities across the country would become more nature accessible and connected. And Wild Earth applied on behalf of the city of Kingston with the district, with the city of Kingston, and with many nonprofits and local organizations. And we were selected and began the work of thinking about what Kingston really needed in ways of nature accessibility. Which we'll get into a little bit today. But broadly, I think many of us know the issue, but just to illustrate it, this pie right here, you can see the tiny little sliver our time in nature for a typical American child. And on average, that tiny sliver represents less than 10 minutes per day in nature, whereas this big green area represents about 7 hours in front of a screen. And we know that marginalized communities are often impacted even worse by this. So it's a real issue because our kids need it for their physical health, their social, emotional well-being, academic success, awareness, problem solving, you name it, we need nature to be there for us. And thankfully, Kingston is doing so much. We have gardens and green spaces and city parks and a ton of programs. So really, Nature Everywhere is just bringing all of that together. And after surveying several families and community members and students and talking to leaders in the area, we realized the 4 areas are programming, resources, infrastructure, and policy. Those are the 4 areas to focus on to increase equitable access to nature in Kingston. And so we have a lot going on in different ways. We have an after-school program. We hosted a gear giveaway. Emily Flynn, who's here, has led the way on a nature assessment of all of our Kingston parks. And today, what we want to talk about is our work on policy, which is COBOR is the short name for it, but this is a Children Outdoor Bill of Rights.
So I'll speak a little bit about the COBOR specifically. So this winter, a group of us that were connected to the Nature Everywhere group got together to look at other cities' COBORs to inspire us to create one for Kingston. So we also surveyed over 300 students. So through the students that Esperanza works with Wild Earth and the students I work with through Land to Learn, along with some of our other partners, we got some input from our elementary age students, which was great. We also wanted to highlight land-specific features of our city. And as you'll see, we try to use a lot of sensory language in choosing the rights as well. So you can go to the next one. So if everyone has a copy, I'm just going to take a minute to read them to you. So our Kingston COBOR says, in Kingston, the ancestral Lenape land, all children have the right to access safe and vibrant neighborhoods, schoolyards, and parks, walk to welcoming green spaces, touch and smell plants, flowers, and healthy soil, experience all stages of growing, seed to harvest, see stars in the night sky, learn and engage with the Hudson River and the Catskills, swim in a natural body of water, safely explore in all weather, tromp in the snow and splash in the rain, listen to the birds and nature's seasonal sounds, and laugh and play with friends and neighbors outside. So why Kingston? Well, we figured this is something that would codify the work that the city is already doing. We would be recognized as a national leader amongst other cities that have created COBORs, and it would demonstrate Kingston's commitment to the well-being of the children in our city. So today we are asking for the committee to consider this for a memorializing resolution. Thank you. And if you would like to add anything,
Any questions?
Yeah. Any questions?
Thank you so much. Yeah, Michael?
I think this is really great and really powerful. But I was curious, so if we adopt this policy and we're unable to meet some of these goals, does that give the public grounds to file a suit against us? Like, for example, in my ward, I really have no parks. And there's no access to the Esopus Creek on this side of the river. Is that a violation of this policy?
It's a great question, and I feel so fortunate to be part of this greater network who has been doing this for some time and adopting it in cities much larger than Kingston. It's my understanding that it wouldn't be something that would be liable for a lawsuit, but it is a great question that we have resources to like get into the nitty-gritty. I'm sure it's come up, but it is a guide for us as a city on the metrics that we can attempt, even if we don't live by places, really working with school districts to provide experiences like this for all students where possible.
Thank you.
And can I just jump in? I don't think that that's gonna be an issue. I mean, because we have memorializing resolutions and policies like this, that it's, you know, yeah.
Sarah,
So could we say that this is a policy and more than anything else, it's guidelines for how we would like to see our city developed? So I guess I'm addressing that.
We're seeing this as a long-term.
Long-term.
Vision, more than anything else. It's taking what we have and saying, we want this to be now and into the future.
I have a follow-up question, but what are the other cities that you can say that have done this, and how has that affected the policies that they've been able to, or, you know, bolster the policies they've been able to create in their cities?
Do you want me to answer that?
If you do, could you sit at the table?
Sure.
Because it's probably telling me they can't hear from the benches.
Sure.
Thank you.
So other cities that have created these children's outdoor bill of rights include Austin, Texas, San Francisco, California, Oakland, California, Baltimore, Maryland, Salt Lake City, Rochester, New York. So we are in very good company, and they are used in a lot of different ways that I've seen as I was looking at them with our initial research. Some cities have used them to create city like challenges for kids to go and splash in a stream, and they can get like a badge if they complete all the different challenges. Some cities have used them more to kind of work together with school districts and with other organizations, kind of like we have been. So it's kind of a wide open field how it can be utilized.
Okay, thank you.
Marissa.
I mean, I'm a minority person. All this is wonderful. It's very aspirational. So I want to build a question here. What are the concrete examples of how this policy has had, from a city point, from a government point, impacted, you know, some of these outcomes that these aspirational outcomes become a reality? Like, can you give examples to that from a government policy standpoint?
I know that I'd have to like take time to like look up the exact details, but I know that Austin has used their outdoor bill of rights to actually create more shade structures and park space to support nature connection within the parks. So actually like using the policy to change the environment within the parks.
You know, chime in, there's one thought, we may be able to cite it in grant applications. We may be able to cite it in grant applications. I'm not the grant from the grants department, but we do often point to our action plans, our goals for the city. So just, you know, our Live Well Kingston Commission, we have an action plan for the year. We often cite it in our grant applications. I would imagine that this could be cited as well when we apply for grants.
And
Andrew.
Yeah. Also piggyback off Sarah and Marissa, because I really like this and I think it's important. But what I fear is that we pass this and it just sits in a folder someplace or file someplace and nothing actually, you know, we could pat ourselves on the back and say, wow, we did something important and good, and nothing actually comes out of it for the children, which is the whole point here, right? So I would like to see some things that we could actually do off of this. Have you started that planning process, I mean, I know you mentioned a couple examples in other places, but like, I think that should go hand in hand with this instead of us just passing this. And like I said, it feels more like patting ourselves on the back for doing something good and it's not actually reaching the kids yet.
I really appreciate that. And that is like exactly what we don't want as well. And not only do we have plans, we are in our implementation phase. So I just kind of glossed by them, but I'm happy to take a little bit more time to explain. Due to like so much federal and state budget cuts for schools, a lot of after school programming had been cut, especially nature accessible outdoor programming. And so like an after school programming that is appealing to local funders, the school district can get behind and support, and nonprofits are partnering together, right? Wild Earth and the city of Kingston have come together to provide this space for children. So just today we had a bunch of kids outside planting and exploring the woods and learning about nature. And so that's like one immediate, and this is a low to no cost program. So students in Kingston just have access to that. And that's making our parks more beautiful. It's getting better use. It's having better land stewards out there. Emily Flynn can speak better to the parks assessment work, which this has been what has happened in other cities. I will say that the policy has impacted equitable park investments so that cities can really galvanize behind this and make parks more nature accessible. And so I don't know, Emily, if you want to mention a little bit of what you were doing, but these are some concrete examples of what we're doing now and what we hope to build on.
The Walking City, which is the social determinants of health, we have subcommittees. One is called Play Well. Play Well, along with inspiration and connection with the Nature Everywhere group, has been doing a park assessment. This means that we worked with Jenny and some others to create an assessment tool. And then, of course, just evaluating our parks for nature spaces for play for all ages wasn't enough. So we also talked to Lindsay, the director of Parks and Rec, and the mayor, and we are also assessing the parks for a lot of other things, like does it have amenities? Is it ADA accessible? Does it have sidewalks to it? All those things. So as a group, we have been evaluated 2 parks thus far. We did Block Park and Cornell Park just last Friday. And we plan to keep going to each park. It's nice to do it as a group because we all sort of, one person's nature access, it might look different. So then after we go and assess a park, we'll come together and talk about it. Everyone is welcome to join us. Please reach out to me if you're interested.
And I will say, oh, go ahead, Esperanza.
No, please, Jenny.
Okay. I will say, so in my professional work, I work as a grant writer and I work with organizations like Wild Earth. Being able to say that in the work that we're doing as a nonprofit, we're partnering with the city and the city has adopted policies like this. That holds a lot of weight with getting funding to do the work to benefit the children of Kingston. So it's really, it benefits not only the city, but it benefits the nonprofits that work within the city to support the children.
Yes, and to that point, these nonprofits, these organizations, the school districts, the work is happening. So I don't think that it's a real concern that the work will continue happening. This just allows us to have some heft behind that work as we go to funders and partners. And Rochester is doing this just a few miles away, which allows us to really be on the map. Kingston really being on the map as a leader in the nature accessibility movement.
Like, so I'll say it. All right, memorializing resolution has 0 teeth, nothing. For me, it's a nothing burger, a memorializing resolution, I'm sorry. I think that maybe there's an avenue here to create something out of this to make it real. Okay, I mean, you're heading it off as a children's bill of rights. You know, memorializing resolution, I don't know what that really achieves. You know, I'm not a fan of a memorializing resolution. I said that from the day I walked in here. I just don't see what it does. You know, because I believe what Andrea said, what happens is it gets tucked away into a folder and that's about the end of it.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a pat on our back because we did something. That's why I want to see if we could do it partnered with concrete actions instead of passing this tonight and just letting it sit. Partner together to And maybe then we could present this at, one of the after-school programs, have an event or something, something that's a little bit more, because I agree that it's.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate in everything here up on this list. My kids grew up, they did it. They've done it. So, I don't wanna, shortchange anybody, coming up, and has an opportunity to do all this, but I really do believe that, a memorializing resolution is just gonna be like, nobody, I don't really take a memorializing resolution serious, I just kind of look at it and toss it off to the side. Everything in the past, it's the way I think, but go right ahead, Sam. I'm sorry. I know.
Yeah, Sarah first, chair, and chair, but yes, Sarah first.
Just to follow up on what the two of you said, which is, to me, this reads sort of like a vision statement. I mean, working in nonprofits, this is the vision, and then the objectives is sort of like, if I were to share this, let's say, with some of the parents in my community, walk to welcoming spaces, which could mean, just examples, I think, of what this might mean, touch and smell plants. It could be field trips to, nature preserves in the area, or, visits to these particular parks, something like that could be useful, because that would give me the opportunity to say to people, if you're really interested in this, here are just some thoughts, about things that you might want to think about doing, from where their place of work is, whether in, the board, whether the school or a nonprofit or something else. So that's my.
Yeah, to me, it sounds like what they're presenting is, it's a framework. I mean, guidelines, you said, use the word guidelines, and a framework for highlighting what's already going on. And the fact that it's highlighting what's already going on, it's helping to define it and help bring attention to it. And so I don't know if it needs to be a memorializing resolution or a proclamation or something. I think it's just, to kind of put it on some books of some kind. I mean, it seems like it's already happening and we want to highlight it. It's my impression.
Mike and then Michael.
Is there a mission statement that you have attached to this? Did I miss it on the earlier, a mission statement?
Yeah,
Do you
so
have-
the Nature Everywhere mission is to increase equitable access to nature. And that's done city by city in this particular way.
Michael and then Marissa.
So that's part of that was part of my original question, like, to me, if we're establishing a policy and we don't live up to that, that is when the public should have the opportunity to really file suit against the city for not following these policies. So I would actually prefer if this was a real policy, not, policy means something, not memorializing resolution. And we've had something similar with the Vision Zero a couple of years ago. We were trying to get to Vision Zero, I think by January 1, 2028, or December 31st, 2027, as a mission to hold ourselves to. So I think if I'm in favor of this, memorializing or not, but I really do think it would be better as a policy in which by, January 1, whatever is a reasonable goal to achieve these items, that it really does hold the city to these, because a lot of people in my work don't have access to a natural body of water without relying on the county's transportation system. You can sort of listen to sparrows, if those count as birds and nature's seasonal sounds. I do think this is really important, and I do think it should actually hold the city to a really high standard for success to ensure that children actually do have these rights, and we just don't say children have these rights.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I think that the piece that's really important is the partnership with the school district and ensuring this, because that is where a lot of our children are. And so if we can continue to increase equitable access there, we know that the students are getting their needs and some of these elements met. And I agree. I think that I don't want to see while we have so many examples, this work is meant to be like really evolve, and it has already, right? Kingston has evolved in a lot of ways in terms of its nature accessibility, and so it will continue. But we don't want to we want to leave it intentionally pretty broad so that it can include things like that. Like transportation is a real component here, but we can't sue the city for this. And so we want the traction of some, you know, some weight behind it, even if it's not quite as much as a proclamation or something else, so that the school districts can also get behind it, so that the people have something to really rally behind, because this is happening, right? At the district level, there's been a call for a sustainability director, and while that didn't happen, a lot of other things have happened through the green team that's been formed there. So the district is starting to show up a little bit more in this way, and I think if the city and the district can partner, even if it's not something that's, you know, the people can revolt if it's not met, I think it has a lot of power.
Carissa?
Yeah, I piggyback on my colleagues here, because everyone's making great points. I'm just really wanting to see what the definition of what does it mean to provide equitable access? Like, in a city, how are we falling short of that? We know we are, but how? And how do we correct that? I just think these, you know, swimming in a natural body of water, well, that's nice, but like, what does that really mean in a city like Kingston? So I just feel until we can be more specific about how these aspirations can be achieved in real life, they're just nice words on a page.
I mean, I guess I could chime in and say something. I think when we were creating these, we were thinking of, you know, a lot for myself is the work that I do with the school. So we partner with JFK, Robert Graves and Chambers, and we do garden education. And a big part of the work that we do is getting the kids outside to do many of these things. We're not taking them swimming, but touching grass, smelling flowers, hearing birds, spending time. And just knowing that we have the city support, that like we find that valuable, like that matters, that you're spending time with these students during the school day. And this isn't just like extra fluff or, oh, that's nice, they're playing outside. Like, this is really important. And it's like essential to the children's development. And I think our hope would be that, you know, the city would support that. When I think of swimming in a natural body of water, I think of swimming in the Hudson River. Like, is the city maintaining, like, is it clean? Is it being checked? Is the beach clean? Like, those sorts of things, if I were to be really specific. That was a big part of my childhood growing up here. Like, I have great memories of swimming in the Hudson River. That's sweet, my parents, but that's to be specific. Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. Just, you know, learning about the Hudson River and the Catskills, the field trips that students get to do, having the right gear. That was a thing that Nature Everywhere did at the Earth Day event, was giving away gear so kids can play outside in the snow, in the rain. So those are some of the specific things that I think yeah.
I'm gonna speak to this. I didn't know this was going to be as contentious as it's turning out to be. But it does seem like to move the causal arrow in a direction of this Bill of Rights, like getting the city's weight behind it with whatever power we have, whether that's a memorialized resolution or not, would benefit the agenda downstream, pun unintended. If I'm misconstruing this, please correct me, but it does seem like to in order to do these things, make this happen, something from the city needs to take place. Either do you want to?
Yeah, well, I was actually going to do what I always do and try and find a compromise. Because I don't think anybody disagrees with the concepts of this at the table at all.
Yeah, no, no.
I think actually, yes, I wouldn't say it's controversial. I think the people, including myself, actually just wants it to be stronger, so there's more to it than just aspirational, you know, pie in the sky. So what I'm gonna suggest is that we hold off, because we also don't have this in resolution form, so we need to do that. If you guys could provide us with a list of things that you've done, things that you would like to do, maybe other things that, you know, other cities have done for their, you know, to fulfill their COBOR, is that how you say it?
Children's outdoor book.
Okay.
Board.
It's because I could help us maybe build something that makes the ones up here hesitant, that we want a little bit more teeth to this, to see if we could actually make that happen. Yeah, because just even talking about the Hudson River, I mean, the city of Kingston can't clean it, right? So,
What do you mean, like,
yeah,
no, I know what you're on, but it's the sanitary levels for like, when there's
Yeah.
days that they say don't swim or swim.
and we can also like encourage field trips, right? So there's stuff that we could do, but I just think that there should be some kind of list of actual things that we can do to make this stronger.
Does it make sense, like, to do it in steps? Like, would one step be to a memorializing resolution, or are you saying, no, like, skip that and just go?
I'm not saying scared, I'm saying hold off, because what personally I would like to see is they kind of go hands in hands, so we could make this, policy, or if it turns out to just be a memorializing resolution, which doesn't have any teeth to it, but if that's what we decide, if we could do it where it's coordinated with an event, for example, I think that's going to be more powerful to the public. And it won't be just the common council passes something 9-0 and there's a quick Daily Freeman article and, we get to pat ourselves on the back for doing something for the kids and then it doesn't, that may not go anyplace. So I think connecting it with some actionable items would make it stronger. But so I'm just saying hold off tonight and, see what we could do to build something into like an actual policy.
Thank you, Andrea. I think that's a really good point. And many of these points are covered by our urban naturalist program. I think that's what it's called through the summer camp. So, but that requires being able to spend a couple $100 to do so. So I think that would be the best way to open the door to that, is how can we make that program larger, more equitable, things like that, because they do go swim in the Hudson, they do go look at birds, they do go all the rest of these things on here. So I think that would be the best way for us to achieve some of these goals, besides creating facilities water access on the side of the river. But so I think that's where we should be taking a look, is how we can expand our I think it's called urban naturalist
I
program.
think so, yeah. That sounds right, that sounds right to me.
That's great. And
Junior naturalist, thank you.
the Junior Naturalist Program, yeah. Casey has been a big part of, doing this work with us. And so we have so much of those details actually all fleshed out, and some of which has been executed on, some of which is coming. So that feels like no problem to get, like concrete examples of what we have been doing, what we will be doing, what other cities have been doing. But it sounds like there's more partnership that is wanted, even like, because I could easily send that email over, but what I'm hearing and really appreciating is like more partnership is needed. And so I'm just wondering, like, who would be a person for that? You mentioned that program with Casey, but what would be a good next step for like partnering so that we can make sure that we come back and are able to present something that you all feel like you can really get behind?
Be partnering with the city.
Yeah, or whom, yeah.
The Junior Naturalist Program, are there other people that we should be talking to that could help us create those concrete steps?
Well, Parks and Rec, so Lindsay Timbrook, Emily,
Right.
will, be able to, let you know what her department is doing. I think those are the two that are popping to my mind quickly.
I'm thinking of the Forsyth Nature Center too, because
Right.
they have a very
Right.
robust
Yeah.
nature education program. So,
Would you like us to draft something and bring it to one of the older people to review before we bring it back to committee?
Yeah, that would probably be best, because then if we want to move it, and I know there's also, and we also try not to rush through things because we want to do things, as good as possible, but I also know that, this will benefit you having this.
Yeah.
So I don't want to stall too much. So yeah, if you could send that to me,
Yeah.
that would be great. I don't know if anybody wants to volunteer themselves.
I can volunteer myself just because of Forsyth Park and all that's going on in there.
I was gonna ask Boris just because she has kids.
Oh, you have kids, you have kids.
And that's why I can't. But I support
I don't misconstrue, we're not lack of support, we're supportive. We just want it to be like
Yeah.
earnest and real and backed by action, not just words.
No, I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more, better than we expected.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's something that can like really take it to the next level.
Right. I mean, I'll even know, so I suggested a memorializing resolution. I thought that would be a good way to get the conversation going. So we've been backing off from
You succeeded.
moralizing resolutions this year. So we've just been doing less because so many of them, because they really are just a statement, which, can be important and effective. But, we've been trying to do more than just issue statements. So we have been doing less memorializing resolutions, but I guess you didn't get that memo. And now you know. So yeah, if you could, Emily, you reach out to me and I'll put, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for your time. So, yeah, right.
Thank you all. Take care.
Okay, next up, burn ban.
We're gonna invite Lorraine. Up to the table. Do you want to invite anybody else, Lorraine, or? I think Janelle was it. Oh. Well, hello, everybody. I wanted to thank Chair Dennison, who is not here, and all of you on the committee for having us here. I'm here with several members of Hudson Valley Air Quality Coalition. I see faces here who I didn't know would be here, so I have sent to the committee, the de facto committee, some information about this, but I'm going to go through it with you now so that everybody hears what it is we have to say. I want to first say that the Hudson Valley Air Quality Coalition is concerned with all matters of air quality. So one of the major impetuses behind this proposal on our part is the fact that there have been several wildfires that have already affected this area. As I'm sure you're aware, some from California, some from Canada, and the air quality monitoring network that we have has come to be the case. And that the ones that we had in November of 24, which were local, Ulster County wildfires also affected our air quality greatly. So anything that will serve to keep our air quality healthy is what we're interested in. So I'm just, if you'll bear with me, want to go through some of the points about this proposal, give you some history. So in November of 2024, we had the largest and most numerous wildfires in recent history in the Hudson Valley and Ulster County. And at the time, Governor Hochul implemented a burn ban in mid-November that nevertheless allowed contained campfires, fire pits, small cooking fires, and other outdoor fires, despite the high fire risk, which was not the case, by the way, in the states of Massachusetts and New Jersey, which governors immediately put into place strict no outdoor burning bans. In New York State, there is a burn ban that's in effect every year between the middle of March and the middle of May, when it's considered to be traditionally thought to be the worst fire danger weather. That's not always the case now because of climate change. Things are worse, so there are more times of high fire danger in New York State now. But what I wanted to say was that the burn ban that is in place every year between mid-March and mid-May is the same kind of burn ban that allows outdoor burning, which again is not the case in surrounding states. So many jurisdictions at the time in 2024, fall of 2024, November, in Ulster County, in fact, all of them, but Kingston, enacted their own burn bans, recognizing that the burn ban that was in place via the governor was not protective. And many of those were explicitly strict. Surrounding towns
immediately surrounding Kingston, for example, Woodstock, Marletown, Hurley, Town of Ulster, New Paltz, and several others, did so. But Kingston, which is arguably the place that has the most at risk because our housing stock is mainly wood and we are densely sited. Housing stock did not. So we were really left unprotected. We learned from, sadly, very tragically, the LA wildfires that urban fires are the most difficult to steer and to control. So this is the impetus behind our request and urge for you all to consider a temporary burn ban during times of high fire danger. There are several similarities between the cities of Altadena, California and Kingston, which I have mentioned to you. The densely sited houses, the wood frame housing stock. They were both and are both located in a valley basin which traps fire and air pollution. And if you look at the photos of the devastation in the city of Altadena, you see the mountains in the background. It looks like the Catskills. It looks like Kingston with the Catskills in the background. So that there are just too many serious coincidences to be ignored. Climate-driven extreme weather events like high winds, increasing dry conditions, and low relative humidity increase the risk. No question about that. I've been in touch with the meteorologists at the National Weather Service who have confirmed that. But I wanted to say that the HVAC members who are here and the ones who initially brought this concern to you all are concerned about the potential threat to property, lives, and health, of course, due to worsened air quality, God forbid, if proactive measures are not put into place. So Kingston, as I say, has arguably more risk factors than surrounding communities because of its status as the only city with this densely populated stock of wood frame houses. So 2 letters were sent in the spring of 2025 by HVAC members asking that the mayor enact strict burn bans during times of, and this is important, the DEC is the entity that designates when there is high fire danger. They have a fire danger map that's very easily accessible. You can look at it any day and see what the danger is where we live. So the mayor did not respond to either of those letters. So HVAC members spoke at the May 1 year ago to the Common Council, the full Common Council, asking for legislation to implement a temporary burn ban in times of DEC designated high fire danger. So we are urging the Common Council to enact a temporary explicit burn ban on all outdoor burning during times of high fire danger, as designated by the New York State DEC fire danger map, suggesting the language used by the town of Marletown as an example, as indicated in a presentation last fall. There were, I did write this to those of you who are on the committee, but I'll just mention that part of the history of this proposal is that for I think 4 of the fall meetings of the Laws and Rules Committee last year, there were some requests made about having experts come. So there was an air quality, someone requested that an air quality specialist be called in. And we had Professor Eli Duker, who is the person who's been monitoring the city of Kingston's air quality for the last 5 years. And he did a slide presentation, which is easily accessible to you all. And he discussed the exigency of climate changes, the way the climate is worsening and causing more extreme weather, higher winds, drier conditions, and low relative humidity, and also recommended that we use language such as the one that the town of Marbletown. But I did also send you a list of, the actual burn bans that were put into place by those municipalities that I just mentioned to you. So one of the things. No. One of the things that, Dr. Duker, Eli had mentioned to you all is, of course, it's been 250 years since Kingston burned down, and we certainly don't want it to happen again. And this is not to be flip about this, that we want a Kingston to be a resilient community, and one way to do it is to be proactive. And the language that Marbletown put into its burn ban at that time was that all outdoor burning, including bonfires, campfires, warming fires, outdoor fireplaces, chimneys, cooking fires, and city limits will be banned until further notice. So this is a temporary burn ban in times of high fire danger as designated by the DEC. And I think, yeah. So, I mean, I'd be happy to share with you all again, if you don't, or newly share with those of you who haven't received it, these bits of information.
Is that what you sent the committee on Tuesday?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is that what you sent the committee on Tuesday? Is that what you're talking about? I can forward it to everybody. just
Thank
so
you.
know.
There were two, there was the information background sheet, and then there was the list of the actual burn ban languages. So, I'm interested to entertain your questions, and hear what you have to say.
I guess, I just have a question
I'm a
about,
teacher, so I just jump right in there.
so, how long do most temporary burn bans take place? I mean, how long do they last?
They last-
I know it
Well,
depends on. the
proposing is that they
situation.
last as long as the
As the-
CDC high fire danger exists. So it could be a day, sometimes it's a day.
Okay,
It could be 3 days, however long that condition is in effect, for this area, for Kingston.
so essentially would the city need to have someone monitoring the DEC site?
Yes.
So that basically what would happen is when the DEC site would say,
When the
burn
ban,
ban, then the mayor would initiate the
yeah,
temporary ban, and then it would be removed once DEC.
Exactly.
Okay.
exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
Where is it?
I do believe the fire chief has spoken on this topic, right?
Mhm.
And then we do have a paid fire department that can respond to all fires within 3 minutes, correct? So I just want to point out that that's a discrepancy between the other communities in Ulster, which have a volunteer fire force, and we have a paid, full-time paid. So I'm trying to follow, you're worried about the fire risk, but it's the air quality. It's both,
It's both, as I said, because if there were to be a wildfire or an out of control fire in Kingston, the air quality would most certainly be insufferable.
So in what instances has that been the source of an open fire in the backyard or
I'm sorry, I don't know that.
a cooking pit, a grill? How does that mitigate in an open fire? I'm sorry, I'm like.
I'm not sure what.
We have a paid fire department that responds to all fire emergencies within the city limits. So I'm trying to understand the fire risk. Yes, I understand during heightened fire season, there's a lot of smoke. So is it the smoke you're targeting or is it the safety?
So I don't know if I explained myself well. During heightened fire season, what we are talking about is not whether there are already wildfires. This ban would be put into place to prevent a fire from starting, because the definition on the DEC's map of high fire danger, of that designation is that fires start very quickly from any source.
And this is what, in fact, the National Weather Service issues red flag warnings when conditions are like that. And they have said, they've written to me to say, yes, we put these into place so that people will do the right thing, but that it's up to the communities to take action. And as I said to you, every community in Ulster County at that time, when we had major wildfires in Ulster County already raging, recognized that the governor's ban was not protective and they had to act and do something about it. And there was a student at Bard who did a study on just that, why certain communities decided to do that, enact bans and others, this one did not. And the supervisors of those communities said, without a doubt, they recognize that, first of all, there are new residents in many of those communities who didn't understand how quickly fire can spread, and that they felt like it was their responsibility to step in and prevent something from happening. And I think one of the things that's lost is that at that time, there was a legislator in Orange County who had gone to fight the wildfires in LA. Just trying to remember his name now, forgive me, I can't remember, but anyway, he was interviewed several times and his message was, in a neighborhood, in a city, it's almost impossible to put fires out. And that's what they learned from this. And these were cities, these were places with their own paid fire departments. I think it's, because climate change is so much with us now, that we need a new paradigm to think about protecting ourselves. What may have been true even 10 years ago is not true now. And I think I'm going to say that I think it's a bit of hubris to say that we can get to any fire within 3 minutes, because houses are sometimes 5 feet apart in Kingston. And I would not feel safe taking a risk like that if I were in a position of responsibility. That's my feeling about this.
Michael Tierney, Mike Gam, and then Ruth.
So I have a number of points about this, but it feels like we're trying to solve two problems using this rather blanket burn ban. And one is fire risk, which I think Marissa articulated my point. We have a paid fire department. It gets here in 3 minutes. Our fire insurance is lower than any other town in Ulster County because of that. And the other thing is air quality. And the worst air quality days in the city of Kingston's history, recent history, I guess I should say, because I've been here for 400 years, but it was because of wildfires that started outside of the United States. So I think, so even on the worst air quality days, our burn ban would not affect the air quality in the city of Kingston. And I think from a point of enforcement, the city already bans the emission of dense smoke, which under our code is defined as smoke that cannot be seen through the point of emission. So anybody burning things or grilling things to such an enormous extent, that's generating that amount of smoke and fumes, it's already banned in the city of Kingston all the time, not even during a burn down. That's the city code. So what are we doing more other than asking neighbors to call the police or the fire department on other neighbors? Because right now, those people who are breaking the law will still be breaking the laws under this new one. They're just breaking a new law. So I think that there's just, it's not actually solving a problem. It's just punishing more. I think there are legitimate aspects that, I think there should be a ban on the distance between your grill and your house. I think that's legitimate. You see that a lot. The people have their grill right up next to their house, that it's warped their vinyl siding. I think that is a risk, but I just don't see that this solves any existing problems. I think it just is extremely punitive.
I see that. Did you have something to say? This is Desiree Lyle, who is an HCAP member and also the community sciences lab manager at Bard College. So I think she has something to say.
I just wanted to respond, if that's possible. One of the things that Lorraine alluded to, but I'm not sure if it was quite clear with the, issue of the fire risk on days of the DEC's, red flag warnings, is that, what has been found in wildfire issues, whether it's in Altadena or Canada or even here, is that one spark could easily hit a pile of leaves, which could then easily hit a tree, and that's really the problem. It's not so much, I understand the idea that the air quality and the fire risk is separate. I think the reason that, Lorraine started by talking about those two things is to point out an additional reason why HVAC is concerned about the fire. But the ultimate issue for this is really the fire. And that is more of a safety risk for us all. And that's like life, property, and health last. Because if you don't have your life, you don't have to worry about your health. If you don't have your house, you're probably not living here anymore. So I think that's kind of the order of operations when it comes to that. And like me personally, I would say that the air quality in terms of the fire risk is like, I don't want to say secondary, but it's not the most urgent thing. I think the most urgent thing is the spread of fire itself.
It's not the point of this This proposal is to be sure that this city is safe. And it's your point about air quality and other fires. I think that there, as you know, as I mentioned, that Kingston has been the air quality has been monitored here for the last 5 years. And what's shown is that we do have local air quality problems. But certainly the biggest impacts have been from wildfires in Canada, in California, and in Ulster County when those started in 2024. And I do have, there are two folks here who moved here from Los Angeles who are HVAC members, and I think one of them would like to say something.
Oh, good, yeah. So, as far as the fire department being able to get somewhere in 3 minutes, any fire chief in Los Angeles and also Maui, they said this when they had that horrible fire in Lahaina. If the wind is strong enough, there is no putting out a fire once it's ignited. What you have to do is reduce all sources of ignition. It doesn't matter if they can get there in 3 minutes or 30 seconds. Once that fire is ignited, if the wind is blowing strong enough, as it does more often as the climate changes, we're getting stronger winds because there's more of a pressure differential. You cannot stop that fire. And it doesn't matter how much water you have or how many firemen you have or firewomen you have. You can't stop it once it's started.
Okay, Michael then. So I think education is the first step on this, okay? You can't teach stupid, okay? You're outside running around with a book of matches and it's been a drought for 2 months. Come on, but that being said, I will tell you, I've lived in the city for 40 years, okay? I've seen fires at people's homes. Some people, we've seen some loss of life on some of that, all right? Response time was impeccable. There was no damage to surrounding houses in close proximity because Kingston is built right next to each other. Okay, I will tell you that our firemen here, Town of Ulster, Silvis, the response time is unbelievable. I do believe that you cannot control lightning strike on Schwalmgum Ridge. Fire is inevitable. If it's going to spark, it's going to spark. I think they handled that really well by containing it in a pretty good amount of time, okay? But, I think to Mike's point, it is you put a ban, first of all, I guess my question would be, number one, why didn't the mayor follow through with the ban? Okay, that's my first question. There must have been a reason or background on that that I'm not aware of. I'd like to hear that one. Two would be, you're gonna still have people out around the fire pit. I mean, I have a fire pit. I have a fire pit with Adirondack chairs all the way around it. The one thing I do play within the rules between March 15th and May 14th. I'm not out there burning stuff out there. I don't have everybody over. We're not all out there drinking beers, but I do enjoy having my fire pit down in the back. I also like my grill. Okay, I'm responsible. I know close proximity to a hose, I don't let things get out. And I border the woods. It's my backyard and it's the woods. So I'm very responsible in that. And so are all my neighbors. And even my young neighbors, which I can attest to. I just think that, when you start telling people you can't do this, or you can't have a fire in your backyard or something, okay, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. They're gonna break the law. And that's all there is to it. I think there's, the DEC, I get it. I work with the DEC. They're not the easiest people to work with. Okay, they're not the most clear on any of their objectives. Okay, a lot of things take a long time with the DEC. But, right now, New York State, the state does implement emergency bans. And so far, we've been following all that, along with the city, along with a lot of people that, pay attention to what a drought is and this kind of weather. I understand LA, I understand Hawaii. But, Kingston is not LA and it's not Hawaii. And there's long periods of drought. There's a lot of heavy wind and spark.
I'm sorry, I just want to respond if I could. I've lived here 45 years myself.
Okay.
And I know the fire department is great at responding. But what I'll also say to you is, to your point about during March to May, fire pits are allowed. Fire pits.
Oh, no, I know they are.
Yeah. And so
I just don't do it.
you're using your judgment to do what you feel is the right thing. But the governor of the state does not put into place actual burn bans ever. And the mayor in Kingston, because Kingston is a city of more than 20,000 people, we are never allowed to burn brush here, which is the case surrounding us. So to your question about why the mayor didn't institute a strict burn ban during that wildfire time, his response to the student during the survey was that there was already a 24/7 burn ban here, only for burning brush, not for burning campfires, outdoor fires, fire pits, which, as I said to you, the other communities knew would be very hazardous during that period of extreme drought and high wind. So these are different climate times than they were when I moved here 45 years ago. Things are different. And the number of days that there is high fire danger is increasing. That wasn't the case 15 years ago, 10 years ago. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Ruth and then Kendrick.
So I'm not on this committee, so I don't vote on this, but I support the burn ban. You're responsible, not everyone is, and I just want to say that a couple things I've experienced personally. One is I have personally experienced intense winds, unbelievable winds. I am shocked sometimes at how windy it has gotten at times. It's I think last year we had a lot of intense wind, like windstorms. The other thing I want to mention is, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, I was walking down Delaware, and I saw somebody burning outdoors like boxes. In their house, outside their house, right next to the forested area. And it was an extremely windy, dry time. And I called somebody, I don't remember, who I talked to, but they said, you can't do anything about it. It's allowed. It was outside the regular burn, time. And I was frankly shocked because what I saw looked so incredibly hazardous to me. So I agree that some people will just do it anyway, but some people will follow the law if they know and if the law gets enforced. I think I'd rather be on the safe side with.
But I don't believe initiating a ban like this. All right, enforces the law.
Well, no, but so yeah.
Okay, Andrea, then Mike. Sorry. Sorry.
But we have laws like that, so I wrote down Idaho law. We, obviously not many of the council members, it may have been before your time too, but we have I do not idle law in the city of Kingston. I don't know if it's ever been enforced, and it was a concern of mine and others that why are we making these laws? And the reason is because we are a progressive city and a progressive body, and we understand, as Lorraine said, that we're not living in the same time as of 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Things are drastically changed, and we're going to continue to drastically change. And so if we could adopt an no idling law in Kingston, I don't see why we can't do a burn ban. And my uncle used to always say, a locked car isn't going to prevent a bad person from breaking in your car, but it will prevent a good person from breaking in your car. And so, to Ruth's point, yes, people will be breaking this law, but a lot of the laws that we have sat around this table and said we're going to, because we find this to be important, we're going to move forward with this. People are breaking the law. People are breaking the speeding law. People are, we talk about it all the time, right? So just because people are going to break it doesn't mean that we shouldn't try, because it will prevent some people from doing something that could be really dangerous. And it's a proactive measure. I'm super proud of our fire department having a 3-minute time response, but that's reactive. We have to pat ourselves on the back because it's reactive. This would be something that could be proactive. It could stop one fire, and then that could make a huge difference. So I am definitely for this. I appreciate Lorraine has been coming for years to work on this, and I do appreciate your comment. I agree with you on the education aspect, and it's something that Lorraine and I have talked about, and I know she has worked on, trying to get the word out, and I think she's done a great job over the years of doing that, because I agree. People, first of all, have to know it's a law, know why it's a law, and then want to follow that law.
Michael, then Mike.
So would it be safe to say that maybe we should ban electricity because most fires in everybody's home is caused by bad electrical?
Sure.
Okay, that's curious. That's what I'm trying to drive that point home, it's, everything is not caused by an outside fire.
I would say for the electrical that
Yeah, go ahead.
we have code enforcers for that. But we don't have a person I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Mike.
No, the woman at the corner.
I'm sorry.
You mentioned the person burning the cardboard. We don't have a person who's walking around and making sure that people aren't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between the electrical and this situation. At least if we had this temporary burn ban, it would alert the community to the fact that these changes are happening and to beware. So that even if break the law, they can't say, I didn't know.
So do we police that? How about this one? Not do we police it? How do we
I
police it?
think we can.
Okay. How do
I
we
don't think
police
Okay.
So that's where,
The chair needs to recognize. speakers
so that's where part of my concern comes into as well, is that one, Ruth, whoever you were talking to, didn't know the law because the law already bans dense smoke, which is what that person was
I
creating.
didn't see
So,
dense thick smoke. It wasn't that I noticed that, but I saw flames shooting up high.
so what happens after 5 p.m. when people are having these barbecues? The code enforcement officers are home. You're either gonna call the police and their response time is low for non-emergency numbers, not low, high. Or you call the fire department who doesn't have the resources to respond to non-emergencies all the time. I think this would require an enormous amount of staffing management to do. And I think this comes down to operations, which is not our purview, and I don't think this is our purview to dictate this to the mayor and to the fire department, but I think it comes down to the fire department educating in schools about this. I received an education from my fire department when I was in school about how to prevent both home and wildfires. I don't know if that's something that still happens, but I think it comes down to that, and I think it comes down to the fire department and our urban forester working together to reduce our fire hazard through the canopy. If we pass this, the same people who violate the current law are still going to violate the current law. And I worry that we're just gonna have neighbors reporting on neighbors all the time for grilling a hot dog in your backyard. And I don't think that creates a resilient community. I think that actually creates a more suspicious community. I understand the risks of fire. My dad's a professional firefighter. But I just don't think that this is going to be effective.
Wouldn't it be important for someone to report a spark, a fire that begins if we're under?
Sure, yeah, that's already something that
So
you should.
your comment about neighbors reporting neighbors, I'm not sure I understand that. I don't think I do. I don't understand that.
Okay.
If there were to be a burn ban during, let's say there's a 1 day of high fire danger, I'll be see that. I'm gonna hope that my neighbor is gonna report another neighbor who started a fire during that time when there are high winds and hail. These are really different times. The other thing you mentioned was about staffing, and what I'll say is that the other municipalities that put these temporary burn ban into place during November of 24. All made sure their fire departments, their building code officers were on it. So I don't know, I think it could be done.
So our building department stops working at 5.
Yes, but the fire
And our fire
department is there.
But our fire department is operating on a magnitude level of different calls than a volunteer fire department is. They are out constantly,
Yeah.
the start of their shift to the end of their shift. The whole crew goes out, they go out anytime the ambulance goes out.
Mhm.
There is no extra staff, able to come and just look
If
at a
there's
hot dog.
If there's a fire starting during high fire danger, I think
Then you would
it's
call
another,
911.
it's another level of thinking, I think, required here.
Okay.
We generally don't actually have people speak, so we've kind of made some exceptions. Ben's first time sharing it, so we're gonna keep the heat down, pun intended. And have Ben
That's
call.
Lorraine another note.
That's fine, but let's, have a productive conversation at the table here. Sorry.
No, I think that's a great call. Ruth.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that incident that I just told you about. I could have reported it to the fire department and they could have enforced that, if we had the law in effect, but there wasn't a law in effect that would have allowed anyone to monitor that. And luckily, nothing happened, but it sure did look like something could have. That is my.
I know instances in recent years where there was open fires near buildings and people I know called the fire department and they went through and they were required to put them out. And they put them out. There's nothing stopping the fire department from saying this is unsafe, put the fire out. Making that call, right? As well as the fire chief here.
You mean a controlled fire that person was.
one was controlled, one was, I guess, was controlled, but the code enforcement says they were ordered, but the other are.
Like,
And if that fire in that specific instance was greater than 3 feet, it's still against city code. At all times. So there are laws on already enforcing these things. A high fire danger. I'm very sympathetic to, if you see a spark, call it. Yes, you should do that anyway, whether or not we pass a new burn ban or not. But I just don't see how this increases or expands our ability to enforce that. We're not clearly enforcing the laws already on the code.
Andrew, did you have your hand up?
I don't
Sarah.
think so. No, I was gonna say, I think the reason I asked my initial question about, how often are these days? We're just talking about an extreme days when there are extreme risks. How many times, does that happen during a year? Maybe 10 times. But during those extreme times, I'm not averse to saying we need to, I have neighbors who have backyard grills and they're always grilling. And on a day when there's a DEC burn ban in effect, I would, be okay about going over and saying, we've got high winds, this is bad. Could you grill, could you do something indoors and then come back out tomorrow when that's over and grill? I don't think it's that, I think again, we all want to be safe and I don't see this as being hugely, sort of obstructive to what people do in their day-to-day lives. That's just me, but I think the goal is for all of us to be safe on these very extreme fire days, which do not take place every day.
So my take on this is that it's about an awareness of low humidity, high wind, lots of fuel burn.
And drought, yes.
Drought.
Mhm.
And so highlighting the intersection of conditions on a given day during the summer, that's what we're looking for here. Is that in short, is that kind of what?
Almost. The trouble is that the days have now become more common in other times, untraditional times of the year. So that's why we had fires in Ulster County in November of 2024. So it isn't just during summer.
Sure.
Whenever it is, whenever it occurs, the DEC says so on their fire danger map. And the National Weather Service will often put up a red flag warning, but that is not, they are not responsible for determining fire danger. They tell us when there's high winds, but as far as putting those three parameters together, that's the DEC, and that's the fire danger map. That's what determines whether there is a heightened risk on any given day.
So in those days of heightened risk, the city would put out a press release or make a statement. I'm just kind of spitballing here. This is what we're doing to somehow make the residents of Kingston more aware that, like, hey, I was thinking of doing this grilling enterprise today, but maybe I won't. And like maybe that fire stops another fire from happening. No. So just reducing the number of people that are maybe going to have a fire on those high risk days.
So, yeah, are you suggesting, am I understanding that you're suggesting that the city kind of suggest it, that the city suggests it, and that we rely on people to follow that hope? Is that what you're?
Well, I mean, it's always a hope, right? Like that people don't make poor decisions on a volatile day when that can happen. But I think I'm getting a little bit off track. Andrea, and then
Can I just bounce off something that because even though I'm not taking back the fact that I would support this, even though I don't know, but I would support it. Maybe a compromise would be, I mean, it kind of goes a little bit operational, but if we could have some kind of resolution that says when DEC declares on their fire map that there's an emergency, the city must send out information via, all the sources to encourage folks to not use. To not have the grill for that time period. So it's not punitive. It's bringing awareness. People will still follow it or not follow it. It's educational. It will hopefully get people to, do what's in the best interest of their neighbors and their community, but without, worrying about necessarily enforcement. It would be unique. I mean, we wouldn't have done anything like this, but I don't know if that would make people feel more comfortable. And it's kind of like what you were alluding to a little bit, or did I take it farther?
No, I think that's kind of how I see it kind of landing like this. Like, we can't really be a police state in fires and we don't really want neighbors to be, looking over their fence, calling other neighbors. If they're doing it in response, I don't know,
Get in the weeds.
get in the weeds. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. I think I agree, like the times are changing. The days are getting hotter, birds, the heat season is getting longer, that's true everywhere. I would want to be heavy-handed in this, at least right now, because I think, as we've seen with the tree commission, like people like to have their freedom and what happens on the property is theirs. But I do think that there is a lot of merit to what's being discussed, and I will leave it at that right now. Who else had their hand up? I apologize, Michael.
So I think like the tree ordinance, we haven't actually seen a member of the council introduce a change to the code. So I think if there are members of the council who are in favor of this, that should be the next step, is to show us the changes in the code that would be through this. But I still don't think that this, I think our existing laws would be enough.
I'm sorry, would you mind repeating that, because I have trouble hearing?
We haven't actually seen any proposed changes to the code. That's what I would want to see as a next step, even though I don't really think that it would change a material difference in the existing enforcement policy. But again, to your point, Andrea, I do think that's operations.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have the authority to tell the mayor to inform people that it's a fire risk. That is something that the administration should be doing, certainly. Like they should be, they should be requiring the fire department and the urban forester to work together to reduce the risk of our Kennedy's fire risk. But again, that's operations. It's not our responsibility.
So
I would just say, since, we've had a very good discussion here, and I think that maybe we could wait, maybe we could just hold it off until the next meeting, and then meanwhile, see if there is some kind of proposed change that would address what Andrea just said.
Well, it's always changed, because again, this was from a while ago, the proposed change for the code, because I asked that question too, was that, and I just adopt a temporary burn ban at the time of emergencies as designated by the New York State DEC fire damage map. So that would be adding renters to the code. So that was what was presented a year ago. So that would be the change if we were gonna go with that path. If we want to play around with, what I was thinking, I could, if people want me to, I could try and come up with something, but for next month.
Before we amend the code, I would like clarification on what our current code says. As Mike already pointed out, it's in code, the production or emission of dense smoke within the city is prohibited. So what is that? What is prohibited? What is new that we're introducing here?
I do know something about that code,
Please.
Smoke. dense smoke does not necessarily mean, that there is no danger. Dense smoke, for there to be dense smoke, it would be the most extreme circumstance, and it would be too late to put a fire out. Dense smoke has been actually by most experts shown to be a very archaic way of looking at smoke. So that law doesn't have any relevance to this.
I'd like to hear from the chief. I'd like to see what he talked about the last time. We weren't here for that.
I know.
I just want to see what he had to say, this one, that's it. I mean, I have common sense. I mean, this is easy, cut and dry for me, no pun intended, okay? You know what? You don't start a fire when there's a drought. That's all there is to it. But I'm not saying you gotta put a ban in place. I mean, to Ben's point, start regulating people's properties again. I mean, everybody's out there not setting fire. I mean, been a long time. Family's been in this county for 200 years.
I would just say, I would still like to see what you might come up with since you offered to come up with.
I could do that. Sounds good. I appreciate all of your time and your thoughts on this. Thank you for considering all of this. It's certainly to all of our benefit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Let's see, we're going over to 25.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, item number 3, no parking on Sacramento Lane. Am I saying that right? Sacramento?
Yeah, this one, I think, reached my desk, good evening, everyone. Reached my desk through the mayor's office, who I think had been contacted by some of the area businesses. Their delivery trucks are having trouble making this turn while it's, say Cedar, but it's not Cedar, it's, Cornell. Onto, Sacramento, and by eliminating one parking space, this problem can be solved, so that's the request.
Do you have a community report or should I write one? I'll write you.
Sorry,
That's fine, I just wanted.
I thought it had been provided.
I don't see one here, but I'll write it. If there's any questions for John, this would be a good time because you can't do motions, I write this.
I think John sort of answered my questions and Tara with her follow-up emails. Question I have about whether this would have an impact on parking. So,
One space lost.
yeah. Let's see. Okay.
I guess it beats your car's sidesway, right, John?
By a big truck, yeah.
I think so. Your car was sidesway? No.
Not me, not yet.
Not yet, right.
What?
There was somebody trying to tell you something. I think Mike's just making that.
Okay.
Yeah, so just, you have heard things long enough, I think it happens to everyone.
There was another 3-car accident where I was in my accident. Of crying.
Over here?
At the same spot.
So yesterday?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
3 cars. I mean, mine had 4 cars, so, you know,
It's a dangerous intersection.
yeah, I don't know why. I mean, people are avoiding speed cameras.
Oh, that's what they're.
So Hasbro is
Yeah.
even busier. It has been crazy.
I bet.
People cannot slow down by my.
No.
Hasbro in East Chester?
Yeah, well, Hasbro, because it runs parallel to Broadway. We're already, I mean, it's already one of the worst streets, and I say that because of the speed feedback, so I mean that we've gathered information, people are driving really fast on our street.
By your house.
Yeah.
Coming up the hill.
Yeah, and, but since the school zone, the cameras, we're noticing a even higher influx of traffic, because people are now driving Hasbro, Broadway.
I've noticed many more left. Free to go behind Hasbro, behind City Hall.
Yeah, everybody gets to the YMCA and takes the left.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what they do.
I know.
All right, Ben, you're gonna have to learn how to read my handwriting real quickly.
I'm here for it.
Oh, that looks very neat.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to hit this.
No,
For the next one too, I thought these were already.
I actually kind of like writing them because just in case things change,
Do you have them for the next 3?
I'm going to start working on them.
We lost Marissa. We have to wait for her.
Just for a
You can still get the motion, you have enough voting members.
Okay, resolution of the common council to amend chapter 390-97 of the city code to add no parking or standing at any time on Sacramento Lane on the north side from curb line of Brunel Street to a point 48 feet southeasterly thereof. Can I have a motion?
Motion. Good. All right, I'll second.
Action. Karen?
Well, there are 2 of those things.
Too late.
No, it was subtle enough and out of it left ear. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Hearing for Lynn Bob, I guess. Big Bob.
There you go.
Somehow we're both.
Bob, something? Oh, is it good?
Item number 4, removal of ADA signage. John.
Yep, so, this one came with Sarah as well, so as you see, routinely these handicap spaces get created often for a certain individual, and if that person moves away, they're no longer needed. I think that's what we're after here, what Fairview.
Well, this person moved away in a permanent way.
Okay,
I mean, we taught it. No, I mean, actually, that handicap parking space was in there for years.
Okay.
So, I went in with Amy Peterson into the office of the, Fairview Gardens. And talked to the manager there, and she looked it up because it couldn't be found, we couldn't find the permission form, in the city records. She looked it up and she said, oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, he died a couple of years ago, and so that space we don't really need that space. So that was that, and parking is at a premium, so we said, oh, okay, I guess we don't need the space.
Resolution of the common council to amend the city code, chapter 390-57 to remove handicap parking at 79 Fairview Avenue. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes, it is unanimously.
Marissa can't find these mid-reports, she didn't vote. So you can just pass. I was gonna vote for it. Sorry. But the vote already happened, so I mean, it doesn't matter, it's,
We had enough people.
yeah.
Otherwise we would have waited to be.
Did she sign this one?
No.
No, you're right.
Okay, number,
I didn't realize I didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
number 5, safe and accessible Flatbush and Foxhall streetscape project. John,
Okay, I can skim over or go into as much detail as you'd like on the project. Obviously, we have a streetscape project upcoming on Flatbush and Foxhall Avenue. I was here 2 months ago to ask you to let you know this was under secret, likely to be an unlisted action, and have you as a body to declare your intent to be the lead agency under seeker. So you did that. I reached out to other potentially interested agencies and let them know this was coming up. Did they object to you being lead agency? No responses were received. So I'm back. I've provided the environmental assessment form, which you had 2 months ago, and so it's up to this body to do 2 things if you would like. One is to declare that you are the lead agency, and then to make a finding of the significance of the environmental impact of the project. Based on the environmental assessment form, part 1 asks a number of questions about the project. I think, I'm happy to speak to what the project consists of, but I think by now you're probably mostly familiar with the limits and what we're going to do. It's a streetscape project along the current alignment of the roads. We're not moving roads. We're not creating new overpasses. We're not tearing anyone's house down in order to do this project. It's similar in nature to other streetscape projects we've done that have new curbs, new sidewalks, traffic control devices get upgraded, striping on the road, signage changed, traffic calming features like speed bumps added. But we have to go through this process to identify the environmental impacts and make a finding of the significance. So your choices, if you want to go forward, is to make a finding of no significant environmental impact, or alternatively, you could find that this is does have adverse environmental impacts.
Andrew.
So by law, I sent this all to you, I think last night. By law, we do need to go over those in committee and discuss it. So I'm gonna suggest that if you have it pulled up.
I have a few extra copies too of the EAF.
Sometimes when it gets lost in those threads, I think.
I know, I do.
Phrase of that,
I know.
Of the EAF.
Yeah, we can.
I'm gonna say, do you need one way to go? No, I pulled it up.
I'm sorry.
You search hard, look in your own.
So you'll see, it's 3 pages under part 1 that have a number of questions about
Right.
what the activities, affect the environment in this way or that way. And for all of these, the answer, from staff and our consultant in this case leads to suggest that the environmental impacts will be, none or small.
Pay for. You're my speaker first.
Oh, is this a good time for me to ask questions about some of the?
Why don't we
So
go?
you want to go through one, or do you want to go through one through?
Let's
Okay.
do that and make sure that we hit everything and it's a little more organized. It's not so. I know that's fine.
Yeah, I'm pulling things up, which is why I wasn't fully focused on you all. I apologize. You were looking at the combined SEAF PDF, is that?
Yep.
Yes.
One? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, starting with.
Question 1,
Want to go through line by line, I think?
that's what maybe I think is suggested.
By law.
I can take this copy. We can, oh, yeah. You got everything.
Yeah, part 1, number 1. The,
Yeah.
is that where you're at?
Which I don't think that there's really any issues.
But maybe because people are listening, someone can just read the question aloud and we can.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all, I mean,
Yeah, no, I was just gonna
I'm
say,
thinking
the top part is like the brief description of proposed action. We've gone over this in committee several times, so we can just start with question number 1.
Does the proposed action only involve the legislative adoption of a plan, local law, ordinance, administrative rule, or regulation? No. Is what is checked.
I agree.
Yeah.
Number 2, does the proposed action require a permit, approval, or funding from any other government agency? Yes. If yes, list agency's name and permit or approval. NYSDOT design approval, NYSDEC ESA section 7, and USFWS, NYS OPRHP. SHPO section 106.
I agree.
And so I assume, based on the fact that you checked yes, that they all agreed. Or no, that's.
Right, yeah, well, what they could object, they have two choices. They can object to you being lead agency, which as I've said, they didn't.
Mhm.
Or they could even object to us calling this an unlisted action, or they could have sent correspondence saying, hey, there are special turtles and eagles
Right,
that you didn't mention here. They didn't do any of those things.
that's what I assume.
I do.
Yeah.
So is that your sort of answer about turtles and eagles? Is that the intersection of where the Fish and Wildlife Service would?
Yeah, so because of the specific funding source here, which is federal aid that flows to the city through the state DOT. There's an additional environmental step. This is the state level one. There'll be an additional federal.
Okay.
Look to check for all of those species.
Thank you.
Number 3, A, total acreage of the site of the proposed action, 9.5 acres. B, total acreage to be physically disturbed, 4.9 acres. And C, total acreage, project site, and any contiguous properties owned or controlled by the applicant or project sponsor, 9.4 acres.
Can you explain the discrepancy between the acreage of the proposed action and only that that's going to be disturbed?
Yeah, I think in this case, so disturbance would be things like milling pavement, tearing up sidewalks, things like that. So it's kind of, if you picture, okay, where is the shovel actually going in the ground versus, the roadway right away as owned maybe 50 or 60 feet wide, but we're gonna middle 28 feet wide.
Mike.
So for the total acreage, though, owner control. Oh, I guess, no, I can still ask the question here. It was gonna be for brief description, but it's appropriate here. The sidewalks that we're installing, those are gonna be, I would assume, on KHA's property and St. Mary's Cemetery property.
Well, they may be fronting those properties, but they're within the city's right of way.
So it'll
Yeah.
be the city's
Yeah.
responsibility to care for those sidewalks or the property? owner?
Oh, KHA, I think, takes care of their own.
Are there any sidewalks on Flatbush? I thought there weren't, that's the point.
It stops at like Teachin,
Okay,
but you're right. So, going from there to the housing authority, there's only gonna be sidewalk on the north side.
okay,
But trying to install it on the south side had some, impacts to the cemetery that we didn't want to get into.
okay.
Yeah, now. There are some minor, talk about right of way that we currently own or control. There are a handful, 10 to 12 right of way acquisitions, I'll call it corner clips. Proposed to be acquired as part of this project. So in a lot of these cases, especially on Foxhall, there are intersecting streets that intersect at obtuse angles. And as part of this project, we're going to acquire a few corner clips and realign those to be more perpendicular intersections, which is better for drivers' point of view, but it's really better for pedestrians who then have a much shorter crosswalk.
Thank you. Number 4, check all land uses that occur on or adjoining or near the proposed action. Urban, industrial, commercial, residential, suburban, and other. Right.
Civic support.
Civic support. Yes.
And that's probably specifically like the Ulster County Records Office, you know.
Number 5, is the proposed action for a permitted use under the zoning regulations? Yes. And B, consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan? Yes. Okay. Number 6, is the proposed action consistent with the predominant character of the existing built or natural landscape? Yes, it's checked. Seems to make sense to me. Number 7, is the site of the proposed action located in or does it adjoin a state listed critical environmental area? No, is checked here. Great. 8, will the proposed action result in a substantial increase in traffic above present levels? No. B, are public transportation services available at or near the site of the proposed action? Yes. Are any pedestrian accommodations or bicycle routes available on or near the site of the proposed action? Yes.
Can we clarify the bicycle routes? So there's no bike lanes.
Well, strictly speaking, for portion of Foxhall between, here's talking about routes. Not, I know you asked me, but strictly speaking, between Jansen and Hasbrook, that's the Empire State Trail. It is a bicycle route. So I think that's why yes is checked here. And then, of course, pedestrian accommodations is also yes.
9, does the proposed action meet or exceed the state energy code requirements? If the proposed action will exceed requirements, describe design features and technologies. No, is checked.
Yeah, there's no energy code requirement applicable to a highway project.
Number. Shouldn't there be an NA for that?
Yeah.
Because no one isn't really
Yeah.
accurate, but better than yes, so.
Will the proposed action connect to an existing public-private water supply? If no, describe the method of providing potable water. No is checked. Potable water is already provided within the project limits and proposed work will not affect water supply.
Yeah.
Number 11, will the proposed action connect to existing wastewater utilities? If no, describe the method for providing wastewater treatment. No is checked. And the project will not affect wastewater utilities.
Good.
Number 12A, does the project site contain or is it substantially contiguous to a building, archaeological site, or district which is listed on the National or State Register of Historic Places, or that has been determined by the Commissioner of the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation to be eligible for listing on the State Register of Historic Places? Yes. The National Curtain Lace Factory building at 165 Cornell Street is a National Register listed property NR number 12 and 064909, listed 2013. B, is the project site or any portion of it located in or adjacent to an area designated as sensitive for archaeological sites on the New York State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO, archaeological site inventory? Yes. Any questions?
Is it the cemetery?
Well, I think it's more of the area wide. Most of Kingston probably has this designation.
Can you say that again?
Most of Kingston, we probably have to answer yes for this question because it's asking broadly about the area. Was there ever archaeological sites in this zip code? Yes.
It goes out broad, it's not because the way the question is, it's more, more narrow.
So we'll have to do a submittal to SHPO, as part of this. And in general, there's kind of the review that they'll do then, if we were widening the road into undeveloped land, over, you know, they want to see areas that haven't been previously disturbed, which this corridor is. But if we were widening this road out and onto land that had never been developed, SHPO would probably take a harder look at this. They give us a kind of a broad, in most of our streets, because we've excavated down at 12 feet for sewers, water line, and storm. Any of those artifacts have already been uncovered that would have been. So, and this project doesn't go particularly deep, but strictly speaking, we had a yes there.
And go.
13A, does any portion of the site, the proposed action, or lands adjoining the proposed action contain wetlands or other water bodies regulated by a federal, state, or local agency? No. B, would the proposed action physically alter or encroach into any existing wetland or water body? No. Next page, number 14. Identify the typical habitat types that occur on or are likely to be found on the project site. Check all that apply. Urban and suburban. 15, does the site of the proposed action contain any species of animal or associated habitats listed by the state or federal government as threatened or endangered? Yes.
What is that?
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, so typically there's three things that probably get flagged here are bats, which roost. There's two species of bats, and there's there's potential for bald eagle use within the area as well.
16, is the project site located in a 100-year floodplain? No. 17, will the proposed action create stormwater discharge either from point or non-point sources? Yes. If yes, A, will stormwater discharges flow to adjacent properties? No. B, will stormwater discharges be directed to established conveyance systems and off storm drains? Yes. If yes, describe. All stormwater within project limits will be directed to existing or proposed storm drains.
Oh, I have a question.
Sure.
Just about that. Could you describe, stormwater discharge is sort of a big issue around Kingston,
Yep.
as we all know. And it said it's going to be directed to existing drains. Where are the proposed storm drains?
Right.
Going to be?
The largest, there are large storm drains, starting at the southern end of the project, right at Jansen Avenue. There's a large storm drain that runs down Jansen, ultimately under 9W. As you go north on Foxhall, there's as you approach the railroad crossing, there's a large storm drain that peels off onto South Manor. That carries the bulk of this. And then within the Flatbush border, largely discharges down Elmendorf, which eventually outfalls across Albany.
And it mentioned proposed, so there are some new ones that you'll put in that will also
Yeah,
feed
so
into these particular.
one feature of this project is going to be some green infrastructure. So similar to what you see on Broadway, the tree pits that can attenuate and absorb some amount of runoff. Obviously there's storms, larger storms need somewhere to go. But there is, overall meant to be a green infrastructure benefit as part of this. And that's actually the source of a large amount of grant funds that are going to help with this project.
The green infrastructure more specifically it's just water retention on site.
Yeah, it's green spaces, either call them, on Broadway would call them a tree pit, which has a pervious area runoff. There's an opening in the curb, runoff can enter there and infiltrate through non-compacted soil. That's the biggest thing, feature that we're looking to construct here.
Do we have to, if the soil has been disturbed so many times over the last 400 years, are we creating the non-compacted soil, or is it already there?
Yeah, it'll be, there'll be a special detail created. I think it's 24 to 36 inch deep of imported soil. Like with the treatment, we use what's called, it's an engineered soil, which is basically gravel mixed with topsoil. So it does have waste space and it doesn't become compacted, and it has space for roots to grow as well without heaving sidewalks so quickly. So yeah, that's probably something we'll make use of here.
The need for the tree divers.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 18. Does the proposed action include construction or other activities that would result in the impoundment of water or other liquids, ergo retention pond, waste lagoon, or dam? No. 19. Has the site of the proposed action or adjoining property been the location of an active or closed solid waste management facility? No. 20, has the site of the proposed action or an adjoining property been the subject of remediation, ongoing or completed, for hazardous waste? If yes, please describe. Yes was checked. Remediation was completed in 2000 at 49 Foxhall Avenue in Kingston. Site code would be as in Victor 00617.
Can you describe the remediation that was
I
actually?
believe that was a dry cleaner site.
Oh,
It is either that or former gas station. I think it's dry cleaner.
That's right on the corner, Flatbush Road, John.
49 Foxhall.
Yeah, that was, yeah, oh, we got right.
okay.
All right, the next page is the short environmental assessment form.
So some of the ones I handed out don't have part two. Part two was only provided at this step. So what part two is having seen that evidence and any other documents that you'd like to see, you then have to conclude there's a large impact or no or small impact for each of these categories. I've filled it out in the way that I want, but obviously this is for you to agree or disagree. Okay.
Sure, so as a high level overview, all the no or small impact may occur boxes have been checked. But I'll read them, starting with number 1. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? As I said, no has been checked. Okay. 2, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No has been checked. 3, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No has been checked. I would agree. 4, will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Number 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Number 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and if it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Number 7, will the proposed action impact existing A, public-private water supplies, or B, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No and no. 8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. And stop me if anyone has anything to contest here. It's gonna go. Number 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, ergo wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, or fauna? No. Number 10, Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. And 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No.
I'll speak first. I think I'm okay with all of John's recommendations on that.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I also agree.
Sure.
Which would leave with the listed action. Is a resolution. Or committee report.
The report states the resolution of the Common Council declaring itself as lead agency for the safe and accessible Flatbush and Foxhall Avenue Streetscape project and classifying under seeker as an unlisted action. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Sarah? Which one was it? Sorry.
It's soft, Michael.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously carries. Thank you.
But so now that we've got the speaker part, can I just raise a few questions about this? I know we're not changing it.
About the project?
Yeah. But just so in going forward, I understand that Complete Streets submitted a lot of feedback on it. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it in the plans. I studied very carefully enough. The lanes are still 11 feet, they're not 10 feet, there's not the bikeways and the crosswalks are. It seems like the streetscape project really prioritizes drivers over all else.
Well, I know one of that this project does have a long history, almost as long as I've been here, which is 8 years. There is the one thing I will say, early on, it was hoped that separate bicycle facility could be accommodated within the corridor. And it was looked at very closely. And I always like to say, yes, it is possible. However, I mentioned earlier the right of way impacts. There's what we call corner clips being taken in order to make a compliant separate bicycle facility on Foxhall or Flatbush. We would have to acquire not just the corner clips, but strips across everyone's front yard. And those front yards were already, in many cases, very shallow. And in a lot of cases, what that would turn into is off-street parking spaces that are now just barely deep enough to hold one car, now cannot. And so there is even if we were to do this wholesale right-of-way acquisition, which is larger than any right-of-way acquisition I'm aware of that the city ever did, we would then be creating an even greater demand for on-street parking, which is being affected by this project already. So, in conversation with the mayor and various departments, it was decided not to have a separated bicycle facility. Instead, what we will have, obviously, the pedestrian is going to be top notch. But in addition, what we're going to do on both Foxhall and Flatbush are have speed tables so that when bicycles and motor vehicles do have to share the lane, they're at a more compatible speed. We're going to have more consistent markings. We're going to, the lane width is going to be as narrow as we can make it given this funding source. I mentioned the federal aid. We agree to the federal aid. We're also agreeing to the NISDOT roadway design standards, which in this case says you will have at least 11-foot lane. I know there is a preference to go narrower than that. We cannot with the $4 million funding from NISDOT.
And then the crosswalks.
Yep.
There's a lot of streets where there's
You get to the intersection where you can't actually cross the road.
Yep, so I think, and I'm happy to roll out the, plan set if we really want to dive into this. Some of the speed tables will be in the form of a raised crosswalk with a RRFB push button beacon. So that at those uncontrolled locations, you do get, at a minimum, the high visibility, the slowing effect of the speed table and the RRFB.
The speed limit on this, what is it?
It will remain, it's 25 today and it would remain so. Yeah. A few other, I mean, so that's the linear nature of the safety. And then we have specific locations at the project where there's going to be enhanced pedestrian. Obviously, the signalized intersection of the two streets gets a complete new traffic signal that will let us incorporate things like the leading pedestrian interval that we've used to great success. It really prioritizes pedestrians and lets them get their crossing like halfway done before the parallel green even appears for the drivers. You know, we haven't even talked too much about the rail crossings, but there's going to be pedestrian enhancements for getting across the two rail crossings, which is 4 tracks on Flatbush and 2 on Vauxhall.
Is that all part of this bid though, Jim? Is that coordination with CSX?
It is, yes. It is. CSX gets their own pot of money to work within their space. And we propose, okay, we're bringing this marking right up to you. Will you continue it into your space? There's also going to be pedestrian waiting stations. So if you do have to wait for the train to pass and it's raining, you can be inside the shelter.
What about the land? You have to pull under the tracks at all? I thought there's
Like a pedestrian tunnel.
No. About when you're doing the actual work.
Oh, the utilities?
Yeah.
So separate from this, we have our sewer project, which was just awarded. With it. Yeah, so be aware, Vauxhall is gonna be a mess, and I can give you a little detail. We're actually starting on this end. It's a 2-year project. And they're actually not even gonna reach the railroad this year. They're gonna get basically to it and then do a winter shutdown, and then the northern part of Vauxhall and then the remainder of Flatbush will be next year.
So, quick question. Who's gonna be the goodwill ambassador to the neighbors when you're crossing over their driveways and having to plate?
Yep. Well, we have our contractor who is adept at dealing with people, and you know, I've already made them aware, like, you know, it is in the bid docs, you must maintain access to the dwellings, so. Yeah.
That's pretty important. You know, even when Mullen was running around, I told him one time. He said, you know, it would be nice in this neighborhood if you would put notes on the door.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It would be really nice.
Well, they have to,
They don't have to, but that's courtesy.
but
Well,
we're
so-
telling them they have to.
We're going to, yeah. I mean, one thing about sewer projects is you can kind of look and see, okay, they're 100 feet away this week, now they're 50 feet away. They're, you're not going to be surprised when it reaches your house. But
And there's ample things, I know ahead of time, but you have control agents in place.
we are going to host a meeting probably here at City Hall one evening. We're gonna post it on the doors and say, hey, this is coming. Come to a meeting, meet the contractor, get your questions answered.
Be advantageous.
Yeah.
For this project or the sewer project?
The sewer project. We would probably do something similar when the streetscape's about to happen too, but the streetscape is somewhat less disruptive in that we don't have to dig 12 and 14 feet in the ground to do the streetscape project.
I have to say, when they were doing the gas line replacement in Ward 1, which took a number of streets, the contractors were great. And I heard so many compliments from the neighbors who said, anytime I wanted to get out, they put a steel plate down, I could drive out, you know, like they got a really good. Yeah, they did, it helps.
Yeah.
When they go around and
Yep.
talk to people and they're available to help.
Yep.
I was always the good ambassador for all my projects. Okay, we're ready to move on. You wouldn't even believe it.
good ambassador responsible with fire.
Yeah.
You're the guy.
We're gonna move number 9 up to next, which is the no right on red at Washington and Lucas. Okay. Michael?
Thank you, Chairman Fogg. This was the single most discussed item at the joint board meeting held between myself and the mayor. We had a number of people in attendance from Ward 2, obviously, but also several from Wards 1 and 3 about this. This would be eliminating the ability to make a right on red in all directions on Washington and Lucas. My constituents in the second ward, was particularly parents of children at Edson and Bailey who brought this up, was that they will have to walk their children to school every morning and from the afternoon, and they witness a number of close calls all the time, every day, regarding cars taking that turn, specifically down from Lucas and onto Washington, but more generally in all directions, that drivers do not feel the impetus to wait until the light turns green. We've also, in March, we we accepted the grant funding to build sidewalks around Edson and Bailey. I kind of view this as part of that larger scheme to encourage, to create a more pedestrian access between Uptown Kingston, Forsyth Park, and Edson and Bailey. And with the creation of the new dog park, we have a number of both residents in my ward, myself included, as well as tourists and visitors who walk from the hotels in the Uptown Business District to Forsyth Park with their dogs. And that's led to personally a number of close calls where my dog almost got hit by somebody trying to make a right turn on red while I have the crosswalk. So the elimination of the ability to make a right turn on red, I think, would make this a substantially safer intersection. The mayor indicated, not to speak for him, indicated his support for this as well at the ward meeting.
And as the representative of Ward 1, I hear from the other side, from my constituents, that right turn, that basically this would create a blockage potentially going up Lucas as people are waiting because it's a single lane street, which means that if somebody's making a left turn onto Washington, you could be waiting, and then you get there. And then it sort of could back up traffic, and then you have to wait to make a right. But the biggest issue too has to do with pedestrian safety. I'm completely with Michael in terms of saying this is a bad intersection that needs fixing. But one of my constituents was actually nearly hit by pressing the beg button, so that there was a green light for people on going down Lucas, so they could make a right, onto Washington. And meanwhile, the driver was not paying any attention, and so she had asked, could there be, could drivers yield to pedestrian signs? So I had reached out to John at probably the same time Michael was reaching out and asked if that was possible, and he said yes. So the question is, I think, and one thing that you mentioned had to do with maybe there could be some sort of a delay in the light, but you didn't know if the light was set up for the pedestrian delay so that people could walk before the light was initiated. So I think that this intersection has enough questions that I would like to just do some more research, get some more input from constituents to figure out what exactly are the issues. I understand your issues totally. And I understand that there are people coming up from Ward 2, who are trying to make it across the street. I will say though that we submitted a grant for the sidewalks, but we don't know if that grant has been awarded. So it's hopefully there will be sidewalks on Lucas and more pedestrian access. But I think for this particular intersection, because of its complexity, I would like to see whether there are any sort of signal changes that might be there that might, say, rather than a no right turn on red, maybe there's a light that says, no right turn while pedestrians are walking, because I go through that intersection all the time. And for the most part, except for from what I hear from neighbors who go through it, except for rush hour sort of lunchtime and end of day. When I leave here, I'll be going through that intersection. I'm in a single car versus a single pedestrian, so they have no right turn on red 24 hours seems like overkill. So could there be a time, frame that maybe it's just, 8 in the morning till, 7 at night? And I don't know. See, I don't know anything about traffic signage and what could happen there, but I'd like to see something that would work to address all of these situations.
Okay, Michael, Andrea, Marissa.
So it's already the law that people have to yield to pedestrians in the crosswalk. But clearly that doesn't happen. So I'm not sure what a yellow sign would do. I think this no right on red enforces the idea that you need to wait for the pedestrian to cross. Because right now, when you hit that button and you're crossing Washington Avenue, you're with the traffic on Lucas. So the people making a left down Lucas can see you, and the people down the right can see you coming. But that means that the people up Lucas are not going to come and clip you as they try to make their turn. So I think it reduces a lot of the friction that continues to happen at this intersection. I walk through it all the time. I get sushi at Kyoto, and I that's where I go buy my beer at the Quick Mart. And it happens at all hours of the night that this keeps happening. And my constituents want a no right turn on red. I think we should have a no right turn on red.
Yeah, I kind of in terms of the sign that says yield to pedestrians, because that is just, we're already a city of signs. To add a sign that we already are supposed to be following, to me, causes more problems than it addresses. I also agree that there should be no turn on red. Did I say that right? It's so late, I'm tired. No right on red. I know it's frustrating. When I was in my car crash, we were stopped because they turned on right. So if they didn't have it, then I wouldn't have been in that car crash. However, I think, especially on Hasbrook when it's busy, it's important to have that. I also live near Grand Street, and I do get frustrated on that no right on red because it seems like it lasts forever.
I'm still there.
Yeah.
I'm still there.
And there's been plenty of times where I'm frustrated sitting there because I just want to get to where I'm going. But I think with this status of people's driving these days, people are just so inconsiderate. They're always on their, there's just car crashes constantly. Whatever we could do for public safety, I think is way more important, not only for drivers, but for the pedestrians and bicyclists. So all road users is way more important than people getting frustrated. It'll take a few seconds longer to get where they need to go. And, that's my 2 cents. So I'm definitely in support of this.
Marissa.
Here, we're there tonight. If pedestrians aside, there's no visibility. Their visibility is very limited coming northbound from Washington Ave. So when you're making that right when you get up to Washington, it's you're chancing it. Because the way the road just toward bends, the oncoming traffic is out of sight for a while. So it's dangerous in that way too, for drivers as well as pedestrians.
I read the letter from legislator Ushitel, and I thought that he made an important point also about the big button, and how that doesn't necessarily work, where a pedestrian is there pressing the button, and that's where my constituent actually had her issue. She had pressed the button, she had the green light to walk, but the car also had the green light. So is there some way that what can we do about that intersection that's going to make it safer than what it is?
Yeah.
What can we do?
Yeah, I do recommend implementing which we call the leading pedestrian interval. Unfortunately, the existing computer controller at that intersection can't do it. So it would have to be a purchase. I could look into the dollar cost of doing that. So that's the leading pedestrian interval. When you have you get the white walker about 4 to 5 seconds before the parallel green.
I see.
So
So that gives somebody
the
time
walk,
to.
the person walking is already to the middle of the road by the time this green happens. So that in conjunction with the no right on red means that conflict is almost eliminated. Or at least greatly reduced.
Yeah, because I think that that's very significant for my walkers who are walking uptown as opposed to people who are in Stockade District walking up towards Forsyth. So I could, yeah, it's just a matter of which way people are walking and the challenges that they're facing. Because that's what I hear from the people who are walking, say, from the apartment complexes there, Camelot and Parkview Terrace, many of them walk. And so they're always crossing, crossing Washington there. So I don't want to do anything that's going to put them in more danger.
Andrea, then Michael.
You can go first.
Yeah, I would support removal of the big button and put the protective crossing, but I don't think that precludes us from having a no right turn on red. I think all that does is give people an extra couple seconds, which we experience at Albany Avenue and Clinton, that for seniors, that's not enough time anyway to get across the street. For kids, that's not enough time to get across the street. So I think that's a great addition to it, but I don't think it needs to be a replacement for this. Because that's also who's walking is the seniors. And, you know, in regards to traffic patterns changing, there are already other feeder streets, Joy's Lane. The people now take that right in Washington to Lucas because of the speed bumps on Joy's Lane. So I think this would actually reduce the flow of traffic in all directions. We're gonna even traffic.
Yeah, I'm just looking at an interesting article, and it talks about how the drivers are expected to simultaneously watch traffic to their left because they're seeing if cars are coming so that they can make the right and keep an eye out for anyone biking or walking.
It's always to the left.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also adding on to this is if somebody is wearing a dark hoodie crossing the street and it's, twilight hour, you may not notice, especially if your focus isn't completely on it. So I just think this is a really important, as annoying as they could be.
Yeah, I the John Street now has no red on red. And
Yeah. There's a couple.
It's beneficial.
There are things more important.
Yeah. So I think too, if the council wants to consider a capital project, we can make it better for everyone. One of the things about the current controller, it just operates on fixed time, so I'll call it a dumb controller.
Yeah.
Whereas our newer signals use detection. So the newer signals that use detection can add 40 seconds on Washington, if that's what it is, and only 15, and then adjust as the relative volumes change. There's another creative idea that's occurs to me for this location would be an all-way crosswalk. So you get we call it an exclusive pedestrian face. It'll be red for all vehicles, and pedestrians can go north, south, east, west, or diagonally. And that's used in the center of Rhinebeck and in the center of Redwood.
Yeah, I would say, sorry, diagonal, just because it would be something new. I'd be super hesitant putting that on a heavy.
I think also downtown New Paltz, the signal in New Paltz, I think does that. I'm not sure. No. Does it?
I think so.
So it wouldn't be totally unique in Ulster County, but
Yeah, I see it.
it is a little one. Rhinebeck has it, Redwood has it.
I'm just rather trying a small.
The advantage, I think the advantage there, if you are concerned about vehicle capacity, you can, for somebody who might have to push 2 buttons, now only has to push 1 to make that diagonal crossing that they're trying to make. So
I think that's,
Essentially.
I don't think there are that many pedestrians necessarily
Yeah, there are a ton of pedestrians in that spot.
Well,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's right downtown.
some of these.
But I like your,
Yeah.
I like your idea about the checking, about
Detection.
the detection.
Yeah,
Because my
that's
sense is there are times of day when it's
Yeah.
backed up all the way along Washington and it's limited, and the same thing with Lucas, but it's only if, so I think that could really solve the problem, I think.
That's a capital project, that's tens of thousands to get the camera in the air, the new controller, probably adjusting signal head locations and things like that. It's not cheap.
Mike, Hannah, I'm good with it. Okay, Krista.
Going back to the LPI, because you said you were gonna look at it, did that work in a bed button situation?
Yes. Yes, that's what we have in Clinton, and all the new signals on the Broadway have it. Yeah.
Is that something that could be implemented at this particular site, or no, the controller's too old?
Right, it needs a new controller.
And how much is a new controller compared to the detection system you were talking
Well,
about? It's
yeah,
thousands.
there's probably different. I wouldn't want to guess because some of these probably do get into a formal bid level and they're. I don't have the most recent. I know like what the overall project is, to do a whole streetscape, but to simply swap out a controller, put a camera in the air, it might be $50,000. It might be a little less.
Wow.
We probably, at the same time, there's probably, anytime you touch a traffic signal, there's new requirements that come in, so I don't know if that location has a compliant countdown. Cause you have to have that now where it counts 10, 9, 8, 7.
Oh, yeah.
And if that doesn't exist, we'd be upgrading that.
No, that doesn't exist.
I'm also in favor of doing them no right in the red at this intersection. I think it's important to slow traffic down. I think John's making some great points and we're having some good discussion about what could be possible in the future. But for now, I think, protecting pedestrians, Michael and his dog, and everyone else. I would like to put this up for a vote this evening.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Silence.
I just think you can't put a price tag on human life, you know what, and the right on red. You know what,
Sorry.
now if you can slow that down. That's busy up there.
The motion. I forgot.
Did you read it? Or you have to read it first?
I have to read it. Okay. Even though I made a motion to make the vote, that doesn't really.
Well, as the chair, you can probably just call the question.
Okay. Resolution of the common council to amend the city code to add 4-way no right on red signs to the Washington and Lucas Avenue intersections. Do a motion. Oh, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
It's gonna be me because I'm representing my constituents.
I do. I'm just a little upset, I think, how big are the signs gonna be? I mean. We really stalled, right? We went from being the city recognized by churches to the city of signs,
And also these trees.
so trees. Big trees.
And as follow-up, can I follow up to see what the costs are? with
Sure,
some of the
yeah.
other things, so that you can,
First,
oh, that'd be great.
John, is that a third party vendor that does all that too?
more than likely. Yeah.
Thank you, John, for
Yep.
being here.
Thank
Thank you, John.
You have anything else for me? Or-
I think we're good.
Okay, great.
If you wanna stay around, we can
I-
find something for you.
I got
I want to.
That's fine, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Oh, it's not in order, but do you want an order? Sorry.
The old number is 6, now number 7.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night, John. Good night. The West Shore Line Support Resolution. Brought to us by Steve. And he said we could call him, well, if we need to.
Are we gonna do my 2 things? You skipped over them.
No, we went back. We're at number
We
7.
went out of order.
Yeah.
We just added 9 because John wanted to.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
last to
Oh,
be here.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're waiting for your stuff.
yeah.
You are next, Ruth. A storyline support resolution.
So did everybody read through this? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's just asking, you didn't,
No,
all right, it's asking for.
we currently don't have a West Shore train.
Oh, you're.
No, I just.
Are you saying no, you didn't read it, or no, you're not in favor of this?
No, I'm just curious. No, I didn't get an opportunity to read
It's
it.
requesting a feasibility study for the West Shore Line passenger rail service.
I actually did read that. I'm sorry. I did have a minute to
You
read
did,
that, but
yeah. It's not,
I did.
it's not that.
I just seen it.
So the mayor sent us the one that the city of Newburgh just passed, or, yeah, just passed.
Right.
A month ago. Actually, exactly.
Game 27, right?
I don't have much that I could speak on this about, other than I would support passenger rail line being returned to Ulster County. But next Thursday, the Ulster County Legislature's Housing and Transportation Committee is actually going to get a presentation from the group advocating for this, just FYI. I can send you guys the live stream. I can't remember what it's right now.
But you could send us the link so we can watch it?
Yes, I could.
Then we like-
everybody to look at
Okay.
it. Ruth.
I would be interested in the, sort of a comparison between doing something like that versus, bringing back, what do you call it?
Trolley ferry.
Sarah?
Ferry.
But those,
Ferry. The ferry to go over to the Amtrak. The ferry line.
Newburgh Drift had theirs taken away, so.
They're very expensive to run, those ferries.
Well,
How much do you think a West Shore railway costs?
Yeah.
Does anybody have any ideas? I mean,
A lot.
I'm all for it.
Me too.
Then let's build it.
No,
this is just.
Billions?
this is a feasibility study. This is not to vote for any, this is just to see if it's possible to do it. It used to be,
Let's make sure.
You're right.
And I'm old at fault too, I do it too, but let's
Yeah.
make sure Ben is, he's still nice.
I would-
He doesn't want to yell at you.
I wasn't.
Serbian.
He wants to, I know, well, that's, like, there's too much.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah.
Can I finish my comment?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I would be interested in a comparison between that and versus a ferry or water taxis. And I think water taxis are less complicated than ferries.
I do love your water taxi. Mike
I
Camp.
have one more question.
Yeah.
So this resolution you're about to read, this ties it to, is it gonna tie it to a study? Is it gonna tie it to, okay, so let's ask the question, how much is the study? And where is it being funded?
According to, okay, good.
Thanks.
So in the resolved, this is calling on New York State to establish a committee, so it's not us directly paying for the study or for Ulster County in the long run. You know, when the Assembly and the Senate pass those study bills, and we can always see those studies. They would just die at the moment somewhere.
Any more questions? Resolution of the Common Council requesting a feasibility study for the West Shore Line passenger rail service. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Passes.
This will be updated though to reflect our.
Instead of saying city of Newburgh.
Yeah, that you didn't do that, so,
Right.
yeah.
So pending updates.
Yes.
All right,
Pending updates.
Ruth, the time's come. Number 7, ADA signage at 24 Cordis.
You probably just read this brief.
Read it? Okay. Resolution of the Common Council to amend the city code to add a handicap parking sign at 24 Court Street, the Willow Street side. That sound right?
Yes, it's a corner lot and, the gentleman has a handicap ramp going from his doorway to the street from the Willow Streets. His address is 24 Quartz, but the ramp is on the Willow Street side.
Do I have a motion? Motion.
I second.
Here's a fun one, right? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. That's the one. All right. Resolution of the Common Council to amend the city code, removing handicap parking from 52 Third Avenue. Question?
No, it's just the person who needed it is no longer lives there, you know, so, we just don't know, it's requested that it's just a resident.
Do I have a motion?
I wish it's. I'll second. Somebody has a motion.
Yes. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm taking out mine, because I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I'm sure you all are too. So,
All right,
so when the last one,
that's it.
I mean, it's not important, it's not just.
Then nothing like we can later actually see those. So it's
No, right, that's right, I think it's. It actually wasn't actionable, yes, but we're gonna go home.
it can wait.
It could wait, it's not just, yeah, it has nothing to do with the wayfinding.
I guess we will.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. All right, hereby call this meeting.
25 minutes later.
25 minutes, okay, it's down to 6. Very nice.
Good job, Ben. Transforming.
Very controversial.
Yeah, that got spicy.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.